couple of weeks ago, my best friend Elisha and I took a weekend-long road trip to visit our buddy Chris at his awesome workshop in California. And while we were there, we challenged ourselves to combine all of our different styles into one creative love child and build something in 2 days. Being that this was my first collaboration with other makers, I wasn't sure what to expect, but we all had our own little part in this project, and we think it turned out pretty cool. So keep watching to check out what my part in this project was and to see how it turned out in the end. Before Elisha and I even arrived to California, the three of us kind of put our heads together and decided we wanted to make a project that was A, round, and B, possibly a table. But other than that, we kind of left the rest up to imagination and just crossed our fingers and hoped for the best. Now, in original discussions about our collaboration, our buddy Mike from Modern Builds really wanted to be there, and although he couldn't make the build, he was totally there in spirit because he had left behind a tabletop that he had made in Chris's shop a couple of months ago. And since we were looking to add a design to our own tabletop, we used his tabletop as inspiration. Once his table sparked some ideas, I decided to sketch something super official on a piece of paper to design on the table. To help save some time on this already tight build, Chris had put together a white oak tabletop for us to work with, and you can check out his full video on how he assembled this tabletop by clicking on the link below this video. But essentially, once the tabletop was ready, it was time to map out the design. I knew I wanted to add really clean lines and make a cool geometric pattern that started from the center up and out, so I just used a straight edge to mark my first line. And once that center line was completed, Chris and I just used a couple of other squares just to make sure that it was perfectly centered. It was about here that we had to figure out where the other part of the design was going to start by referencing our official drawing.
Okay. So it looks like it's pretty much converging in the center, and you just kind of have to like move
relative to like where it is.
Yeah, so that it would hit the center.
Right.
And once we were happy, we used the speed square and the straight edge to begin marking the lines for the other part of the design as well.
I'm about to get all up in your space. You're allowed. I'll allow it.
Then it was time to figure out spacing.
So do we want to do the lines equal apart?
Probably. Let's ask you, Pattern Master.
Pattern Master, that's a very, very official name.
I don't know if it's a good width, but if you want, you could just equal distance, like, is that too far apart, or were you picturing closer?
I actually like that. That's a good idea, because then we know it's going to be like, scaled the right way. Alright, cool. So we'll do that. Let me just move this. Works for me.
So after our back and forth, I decided to use a straight edge and my Chris clamp to create equally spaced lines for the design, and I started by doing the simple face first and just added vertical lines across one half of the entire tabletop. And once those lines were done, I used the same exact technique to add lines to the other part of the design as well. Don't mind my arm, I'm really good at blocking the camera with it. Once all of the lines were drawn on the tabletop, it was time to start adding the actual design element of the grooves. And this was the part that I was really nervous about because I just didn't want to mess it up. But basically, I used a track saw with a plunging circular saw, lined up the track to the line, and then carefully moved the saw across the line to create a groove in the tabletop.
Good.
After getting that first seal of approval from Chris, I continued the same exact method with the track saw to create the rest of the grooves, just going vertical across the tabletop. Next, it was time to cut the diagonal cuts, and I did this the same exact way as the vertical cuts that I made earlier in the piece. The only difference was that instead of pulling the blade all the way through the piece, I had to retract the blade once it got close to the vertical cuts in order to avoid gouging the perfect lines I already made.
We're good.
We're good. We good.
No, that's perfect.
After some encouragement from my tribe, I felt a lot more confident about making the rest of these lines, and I just carefully did the same exact thing as before, making sure to not cut into the line that was already there.
Perfect.
And after the grooves were cut, we all worked together to give the piece a really great sanding to prepare it for some finishing and staining techniques. Now at this point we had 2 round circles cut out, one for the tabletop and one for a small shelf at the bottom of the table. And after those 2 pieces were ready, Elisha started to work some of her magic voodoo to bleach the wood with some crazy cool technique. I will not do this thing justice if I have to explain it to you, so definitely check out her video as to how she bleached this white oak to look white by clicking on the link below this video. She is seriously a master at using really cool finishing techniques, so definitely make sure to check her out. So as the tabletop was drying, Chris showed Elisha and I around some of the jigs that he has in his workshop, and we began cutting out the pieces for the legs. And if you check out his video, which again is linked below this one, you can see all the details on the jigs that we used, as well as how we cut out the legs for one of the options for this full table. But if you're someone who doesn't cut out custom legs for your builds, that's cool too. We did end up using another type of leg for the second variation of this table, and you can see that at the end of this video. After playing around with making some custom legs and also a couple of snack breaks here and there and maybe some lunch, we started taping off the design to prep it for paint and stain. And a fun little tip that I have is that when you're using painter's tape, you definitely have to give it some pressure so that the stain or the paint does not leak underneath the tape. So I always keep a straight edge around like a credit card or a gift card, and I just rub it along the edges of the tape to seal everything in. Originally we had 2 colors picked out for the table, but after seeing the design we felt like they weren't contrasting enough, so Chris had a bottle of India ink laying around from when Mike built his table, and after seeing the 3 colors together it felt like a no-brainer. We ended up going with the golden oak for the large part of the table and then used the India ink on the smaller part of the design. Now originally we weren't sure if we wanted to just float the stain on top of the table or actually have it in the grooves that I cut out, so I first started by floating the stain on top of the table at first and then decided I didn't really love that idea and started to paint the grooves, and it really made the design pop and was totally worth it. So I just continued the staining process the same exact way with a foam brush all the way until I got to the tape. And once I was done, I peeled the tape away from that portion of the design and began to add tape to the other portion of the design where I'd be adding my India ink. Now, even though I added the stain to the grooves on the other end, the India ink was really contrasting with the bleached wood and the golden oak stain. So here I just used a brush and carefully floated over the grooves as to not get the India ink inside the grooves at all. And once that dried, I peeled away the painter's tape and began to finish up the edges of the tabletop as well as the shelf using India ink as well to give it a really nice defined border. I also then added a secret ingredient, which was the dance breaks. One fun little thing to mention is that because Elisha is dope and bleached the wood instead of staining it, if I accidentally got any India ink on the wood itself, I was able to just use a 220 grit sandpaper to take the ink off without destroying any of the whitewash color. But once all of the colors had ample time to dry, Elisha used her magic finishing techniques, which you can see in her video on her channel, to finish off the tabletop. And while that dried, Chris finished off all the fine details in the custom legs, and I then stained those legs with India ink to match the table. But as I mentioned earlier, we were able to make this table 2 different ways in the 2 days that we were at Chris's shop. And so while I finished off these custom legs, we did also add some hairpin legs to create a second design, and you can see that at the end of this video. But for all of the nitty-gritty details on how we attached our legs and completely created those 2 different types of tables, you will have to visit Chris's channel because he is spilling all of the beans over there. Essentially, once these legs were painted and dried, it was time to assemble the final looks, and we actually were really happy with the way this table turned out after 2 days of work. I didn't know what to expect from my first collaboration, but all I can really say is that the 2 days spent in Chris's workshop with Chris and Elisha were some of the most fun days I've had in the longest time. And regardless of what other people think of this project, I feel like we really made this awesome love child of all 3 of our styles within our small and tight 2-day timeline. I really had so much fun with this collaboration, and I've totally been bit by the collab bug, and I cannot wait to collaborate with more artists in the future. But until then, all I can say is not only thank you for watching my first collaboration video, but for allowing me to enjoy my hobby and make it into the type of job where I get to hang out with really, really cool people and build really, really cool things. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, and happy DIYing.